I am a religious fundamentalist. I know, that's a dangerous way to start a talk. But I decided it's best to be upfront, get everything out in the open, because after all, we are a society that thrives on labels. Now, it should be obvious is that when we put labels on people, we don't know who they are, and we don't understand where they're coming from. But more fundamentally, labels prevent us from knowing who we are, from understanding where we are coming from. King Solomon, extolled for his extraordinary wisdom, taught us that iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens the mind of another. It's only by engaging people who think differently from us that we're able to sharpen our thinking skills, that we're able to see our point of view from the point of view of others, that we're able to hone in on the essence of our beliefs. In 1987, Alcoa hired a new CEO, Paul O'Neill. If his name's familiar, he would go on to become Treasury Secretary under George W. Bush. And when Paul O'Neill first took the podium as head of Alcoa, he announced his grand plan to save the company by making his #1 priority worker safety. The moment he finished speaking, investors virtually stampeded out of the room. One of them called his 20 biggest clients. He said, "The board put some crazy hippie in charge. He's going to kill the company. Sell, sell, sell." He would later describe this as the single worst piece of advice he gave in his entire career. That's when things got really interesting, because employees started making suggestions not just about safety, but extending across every area of operations. One low-level employee offered a suggestion that doubled profits on aluminum siding. And when he was asked about it, he said that he had this idea a decade earlier. But it was only when he saw that management was responding to safety suggestions that he believed they would take him and his ideas seriously. From 1987 to 1999, under the leadership of Paul O'Neill, Alcoa aluminum increased in market value 900%. And net income increased over 750%. Paul O'Neill proved himself to his employees, and his employees did everything in their power to prove themselves to him. What's more, he understood intuitively what in 2018 was demonstrated in a study by the Trust Edge Leadership Institute that asked employees what they want most from a job, and the #1 answer they gave: a boss we can trust. And I can tell you from personal experience, it makes all the difference in the world. This truly was a prince of a principle. Whatever we needed to do our jobs better, he bent over to get us, bent over backwards to get us. If we needed time off for family or health or professional development, he saw we had it. When the school had trouble making payroll, he never took his salary until every single member of the staff had gotten theirs. And if parents or the board tried to target a particular teacher without just cause, we knew that he always had our backs. And we had his. After several years, he decided he had enough. He told the board he wasn't going to work without a contract. They tried to call his bluff and dug in their heels. The standoff went on until midsummer. That's when the teachers found out what was going on, without the principal's knowledge. We wrote a letter to the board telling them that we would not return to our jobs teaching in the fall unless they gave the principal a standard 3-year contract. You want your people to have your back? It's easy. Be ethical. Because when they know you have their backs, they will always have yours. If I can't explain why you believe what you believe, how can I be sure you're wrong? And if I can't articulate why you might reasonably disagree with me, how can I be sure I'm right? Neurologists tell us that in our brains there's something they call mirror neurons. And they work like this. If I'm eating ice cream and you're watching me, the same neurons that are firing in my brain, giving me pleasure from the ice cream, are firing in your brain. And the only reason you're not getting pleasure is because your taste buds are sending a message to your brain saying, nothing going on here, don't get excited. But they've done studies. They found they could deaden the neural receptors, the sensory receptors, and you can actually trick the brain into getting pleasure watching someone else get pleasure as if you were getting it yourself. So what does that tell us? It tells us that our actions have a measurable effect on others that is immediately reflected back on us. When you act in a way that benefits other people, you automatically benefit yourself. Husband has an epiphany. He goes running back to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, I love my wife again. I don't want her to die. What do I do? Oh, that's easy. Just make good on your pledge to the synagogue. And only then will we together be able to communicate ethically, be able to find common ground, and seek solutions to our common problems, of which we have so many. Please remember that, and when you do, please remember where you heard it. From a religious fundamentalist.